Hi, thanks for watching. Today we're going to cover how I use my Godox lights and my Aputure lights on set when I'm shooting with Daphne Springs and Troy in LA. We're going to look at the main reasons that we use, the type of modifiers we use, which frankly aren't very many at all. And you'll understand why, but the main key points are speed. We don't have a lot of time to set up huge scrims, nor do we have the manpower for it. So it's really soft boxes, and small ones at that, and bouncing off of the white ceilings that you generally find in a lot of these apartments and other locations that we're shooting in. By bouncing the lights using reflectors into the ceiling, we can actually create a fairly flat light, which isn't necessarily the most dramatic, but it serves a purpose for comedy from all kinds of different comedy shows you've watched. You'll notice in comedy, the lighting is not too dramatic, and we try not to mess with that here. We are at the location, an apartment complex in somewhere in California, shall we say. Don't need any stalkers getting exact directions. Anyways, we're going to be shooting some interior scenes today. So our loadout was mainly for interior related items, and then I think that's actually going to be it, just interior stuff. So it's just one bag today, and we're going to make it happen. All right. So I don't get paid by Think Tank or anything, but I just happen to be a huge fan of their bags. As you can see, the entire kit for today's setup, which includes at least 3 chip-on-board lights, softbox, LED panel, 3 light stands, cameras, lenses, all of that and more is inside of those 2 bags. So it makes for a big change instead of having a big bunch of bags you have to lug everywhere versus being a independent filmmaker who has to make, has size choices to make. This is the security. It's serviceable, I suppose, but I could have just walked in with any number of people. I guess it keeps out random bums, but it also makes getting into the location fun. But I like to make contact with the producer, who in this case is Troy, before I actually just roll up into the set. I like to be let in just so that I know it's all good and they're ready for me. All right, party people. So here we have the SL60w and the Mini Dome 2 Aputure, basically just coming across to where our talent was over here across the bed. We've got this background, which is a little bit blown out, but we decided to keep it for the moment. So as you can see from this side, we basically got one light, and then we're keeping it really, really simple by just lighting them across the way. It is possible to have used other more complex lights in this, but there is no reason to make this into a meal when we can easily just knock it out. If anything, I regret it's not turning on that practical right there. All right, so it's dark in here right now until you go to our actual set. And you have the lovely Daphne Springs right behind me. So basically in our setup now, we are having these gentlemen on the couch, and we are bouncing that 120D up there to give us a little bit of light, ambience light. This softbox behind me is actually set up for where the actors are going to land at the end. We're going to be all on the run-in for this shot. And then I am contemplating adding another light, but I think we'll be good, because, yeah. Okay, so the premise on this one is action at bed. People are discovered in bed. And then after they're discovered in the bed, we're basically holding this 3-shot over here. And then we have an actor coming in here. So eventually we theoretically wind up with a 4-shot from somewhere like here, and we need to light it for that. So now we have the same room. We're using window light in conjunction with an Aputure light coming up from overhead, because the window light's super directional. This gives us a bounce directly into, see how it gives us that subtle fill on there on the top? So knowing, reduced self-shadowing. Then we have this softbox, which is basically going to hit folks that enter from this side. And so that allows us to basically have 2-shot. 2-shot can move out to a 3-shot, and then we can even get more ambitious and come all the way out to a 4-shot. Or if we need to, bring it back to a 3-shot here, but we're already lit for that. So here we are lighting in doorway entry. We've got a 120d for basically some fill from this side, some directional fill from that side, coming off the ceiling, and then talent in the middle. So we'll see how it goes. And now we proceed to do some outdoor shots. It's a martini for some of the talent, and for others we're going to do a quick pickup outside for. We have now arrived at the ground floor and we're going to shoot outside on the street. Here we are on the road again. North Hollywood. I've shot so many fucking movies around here. Oh wait, I can't say that. This is your Osmo without an ND filter. Seriously, we're shooting a little bit in the sunset today, so we're just waiting for traffic to get out of our way so we can shoot this highly illegal in the middle of the street scene. Indie life. One thing I should point out is that you should really be careful when out shooting in public spaces. We weren't really supposed to be there, to be frank. I'm not trying to put anyone on blast or anything, but when you're not doing things where you have a safety person, a lookout, things like that, you have to be really, really careful. At some point, that talent actually said, you know, let's just shoot it over there because you're trying to make it through all these different obstacles while walking backwards, making us a little bit nervous. So that's something you should always take into account when you're working in public spaces or just when you're shooting on set. Always try and be as safe as possible. I admittedly have taken a little bit of risk, but I mean, that's because if you look me up on IMDb, I've done more than one show and I just have a feel for things, I suppose, which isn't really a good excuse, and I should always try and be safe, which I try and do, but doing a run and gun, sometimes you lose sight of that, and it's something you always have to keep your mind on.